Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. It's only me again, and welcome to a huge stubble field. This field today promises to be really interesting. It's a brand new field. I've never been in here today, and I've come out with Brian today, and we have had this permission for quite some time, and we were never too sure that this field was actually the farmer's, but he did tell us the other week that this was his. So I ended up doing a little bit of research on the field and found out that although this looks like a stubble field today, there was a lot more going on in here in antiquity. So turns out that there was actually a small settlement in this field at one stage, and it had barns, cottages, yards, all those sorts of things. And there was actually once a sort of old road or a track that ran right through this field going past this settlement as well. So yeah, it's not just a field. Hopefully we're going to get some great stuff out of this field today. And of course, if you want to see what we find in this old settlement site, continue watching, because you're going to see it right here live in the field as it comes out. That leaves me to say thank you all very much for watching my videos. If you do enjoy them and you want to be notified every time I upload a new one, then you just have to hit that subscribe button below, and there's a little bell icon as well. If you hit that one, that will just give you a little pop-up notification every time a video comes online. And if you want to help me out, support the channel, help the channel grow, then do consider dropping me a thumbs up as well. But that's the talking out of the way. We are going to get loads of digging done today, and I will see each and every one of you on the very first hole. So we've just come down on our very first target of the day here. And one thing that me and Brian said that we wanted to do before we even came into this field, after I'd found out kind of what was happening in this field, doing the research, was that we just wanted to find out how old this little settlement was. It's not really documented. We know it was here in the 1840s, and it must have been here a long time before that. There's a little farm just over the hedge here, and that dates all the way back to the medieval period. So it would be nice to think that the little group of sort of barns and cottages that was here dated back to the medieval period as well. But you know, if we can find out through the things that we pick out of the ground how old this settlement was, then I think that'll be job done. Regardless of whether we find anything good at all, I'll be quite happy to know that the majority of the things we found were around this kind of date, and that's pretty much as good a date and evidence as you're going to get, I think. So we've just gone and pulled out a really nice little button. So I know it's just a button, it's nothing great, I totally get it. However, we are after dating evidence today, and hopefully some nice finds. This button looks like a general service button, possibly from either World War I or possibly the World War II era. It's got the very stereotypical coat of arms on the front there, and it's actually in pretty good condition as well. It's really nice. It's a little bit smaller than your typical general service buttons, so this could actually be a cufflink or something like that. But it's really nice. It's a bit of dating evidence to begin with. I'm hoping we're going to go back a little bit older than the sort of early 20th century, but hey, you never know. We've got all day, and hopefully we do pull out some good things, and if we do, you're going to see it first. So we're down on our second target today, and this was such an odd little signal. It was coming in at around sort of 63, which for me is quite a sort of medium tone. But it was super clean, so I was definitely going to be digging it. The more I sort of dug at it, the more worse it got, really, which is quite unusual for a clean target. But I've pulled it out of the ground, and I have in my hand what can only be described as a ninja star. If you don't know what a ninja star is, by the way, you haven't lived. But yeah, honestly, it's quite a strange little item. It's basically got 4 points. A section in the middle which looks like it's got notches all around it. It's made of copper alloy. It's quite interesting. It could very well be a leather mount. but I can't see any fixings on the back where it would have attached to the leather, so I'm not 100% sure about that. But it also could be some type of like turning mechanism, cog mechanism, something like that. Yeah, it's quite an interesting one. I'll go with Ninja Star, to be fair. I quite like that option, but not 100% sure what it is. If anybody out there recognises this or they know what they think this is from, please do comment below in the comments. I always read the comments, so I love your suggestions. And again, we are here to try and date this little settlement, so maybe this holds the key. So here's a nice little find that you definitely want to keep an eye out for whenever you're in a field. This is, of course, an oyster shell. And there are only two reasons why oyster shells will be in fields. The first reason is that a bird has picked it up, and among flying home to eat it, the shell has fallen into the field. But the second reason, of course, is that humans brought them here. That is the only two reasons why oyster shells will be in fields, so they're always really good things to look out for. The more of them, the better, really. If there are a large concentration of oyster shells, then you can pretty much guarantee that humans have brought them here, and they brought them here to eat. And they have been very popular since the Roman times, all the way up through to the Middle Ages as well. So yeah, a nice little oyster shell, happy to see that, but I don't think that's going to date our settlement. However, pretty cool. So it looks like we've just gone and found our very first piece of hard dating evidence. We've gone and found a coin. Now, this isn't an old coin, it's not a hammered coin or anything like that, but it's a coin I can date, and I definitely recognise the monarch on it. And I'm pretty sure that on the back here I can see the small bean-like head of George III, and that would place this particular coin anywhere between the middle of the 1700s to the early 1800s. So that must mean that people here, maybe living in this cottage or working these barns, were most certainly here 250 years ago. So that's really, really good. That's exactly the type of thing that we're looking for. If we can get older, fantastic, because it would be nice to put these little settlement back a little bit older than that. But so far, to find a coin that was maybe, 1760 onwards, yeah, it's quite good, it's quite important. And what's really interesting as well is that where I am at the moment, according to the maps, is literally right over the settlement. So I'm kind of working the area right over where all the buildings and stuff were as well. So this is as pretty good as dating evidence gets out of its stratigraphic context. So pretty happy with that. Okay, so I've been trying to find the best angle to show you this on the camera, and I don't know if you can see it as well as I can see it with my eye, but we're going to give it a go anyway. Right in front of us in the field there is this really nice depression. It's much more evident the lower you get as well. And interestingly, this on the map, the old historic map that I found, was where one of the big barns was. And all that's reminiscent in the field is just this depression left, and you can really see it because of the stubble has grown higher on some of the flat spots as well. So yeah, if you really didn't know that it was here, I think you might just walk over it, but that is definitely where quite a large stone building was, and I know it was there because I've also seen the maps as well. So when you're out in the fields, keep an eye out for little depressions like that, because chances are they're a depression for a reason, and there could once have been a really nice building in the field. Have a listen to that, guys. Absolutely glorious little target there, and it is a solid 75, bit of 76 on the VDI, but it's nice and isolated. There's nothing around it, look, and then you just get this really sweet little target. So yep, let's give this one a dig. Okay, so apparently it's come out in this huge clump here, and I've flipped it over, and look what you can see straight away. There is definitely something metal poking out there. That is too square to be a stone. So I think that's going to be our target. So let's just pick it out and have a look and see what we've got. Yeah, okay, so there's nothing on it. It's completely blank. The only thing that's on it is this little notch here on that side. The rest of it not much features on there at all. I was thinking maybe it could have been a coin weight or something like that, but honestly, I don't think it is. But it's interesting, I just don't think it's very old. But what a sweet little target. I mean, honestly, that could have been anything at all. You always want to dig nice, clean, sweet little targets like that. But unfortunately, on this one, I don't think it's anything historically important. But we'll put it in the bag, take it away, just in case. But yeah, there we are. There's that one. So I've just gone and found another quite interesting little copper alloy thing. So this is just a loop, or it's a ring, depending on how you want to look at it. Lots of people find these little copper alloy loops. They are probably one of the most common metal detecting finds out there. They come in all different shapes and sizes, but predominantly they are all made of copper alloy. This is quite a large example. So it's one of the largest ones I've actually ever found. So what these can be are many, many different things, but one of the most common uses for copper alloy rings like this is that they are harness loops. So one of the reasons that they would use these is because they would use it as a sort of joint for the horse straps. So you would have one horse strap coming from here, one horse strap coming from here, and it would be a good way to fix the actual straps to the horse itself. Another thing that these could be, and this is what I suspect this one is as well, is that they are annular buckles. And there's a really easy way to tell the difference, okay? So an annular buckle must have had a central pin going across the middle of it. That was essentially how the buckle worked. And what you need to do is just look very carefully around the ring to see if you can see any flat spots or anything like that. And if you can find one particular spot on it that just looks like it's a little bit thinner, where it's possibly been worn away by the pin that's been wrapped around it, chances are that you're actually holding an annular buckle rather than a piece of horse tack. And on this one, there's a very clear little area here which is a little bit thinner, and it's also a little bit flatter as well. And that's another telltale sign, is that if it's a bit flatter, that's likely where the actual pin wrapped around. So yeah, just gone and found a nice little annular buckle. Unfortunately, the pin has long gone. How old this thing is, your guess is as good as mine. This could be medieval all the way through to the post-medieval, but it's a really nice find, and it's another little find that helps date this little settlement here as well. So quite happy to find that. Really, really nice. But yeah, let's push on, see what else we can get. Okay, so here we go again. A nice little 75 to 76. Really nice and bright target this. And again, really separated from anything else. So it's going to be something nice and small. But is it going to be something good? Well, let's give it a dig and find out. Okay, so it says that it's come out, and it looks like it's possibly in and amongst this really sharp little thistle thing. But let's get the pinpointer, actually turn it on this time, and hopefully we can find it. Here we go. And what do we have? We of course have a piece of lead. But it's quite an interesting piece of lead. It's a very odd little shape to it. And on the back, have a look at that. I think this could possibly be a pot mend. I think that possibly was the bit that went into the pot, maybe. But I'm not 100% sure on that, but it's very likely this could be a pot mend. It's too irregular, isn't it? It doesn't have much sort of shape to it to be anything else. And I could definitely see that going into the pot, and then this bit here on the side of the pot as well. It's not a very good pot mend, so whoever made this one, I'm sure it did the job, but certainly would have looked very unpleasant to the eye. But there we are, guys, just a piece of lead on that one. Let's keep going. What an interesting little signal I've had down here. I mean, this was not the best signal in the world by far. I think it was coming up at around sort of 60, maybe 61, something like that. But I've pulled it out and it appears that I found a little dog. I know, right? So it looks like a little sort of dog ornament of some kind, or it could be a child's toy, maybe. The interesting thing is that it looks like it's made out of copper alloy. So I would imagine that a child's toy probably would have been made out of lead, especially if it was from the Victorian period or something like that. But this looks like it is made out of copper alloy. And yeah, it's most certainly a little dog. So it's quite interesting because it doesn't really look like it's broken at all. It looks like it's got all of its features, although there is one foot missing here on the front left leg. And yeah, it's quite cool. I mean, the dog's got a collar on as well, so it makes me think that this probably isn't very old. However, it's quite an interesting little thing. I've got no idea what this would have been. Would it have been a child's toy? Maybe it would have come off of some sort of ornament or something like that. I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine, but it's quite an interesting little find for sure. Don't really know what kind of dog it is, but it's a dog nonetheless, and it's a dog more than we have found already today in this field. Does it help date this settlement? Well, probably not. It could just be off of a dog's collar or something like that, but I'm happy to find it because it's quite an interesting little find. So yeah, there we are, guys. Came home with a dog. So you come out searching an old settlement site, looking for evidence that, you know, the settlement might have existed in such and such period, and lo and behold, you get something that comes out of the ground and surprises you, and that is metal detecting in a nutshell. You are never ever going to be sure what's going to come out of the ground, and what I'm holding in my hand is a fine example of that. Now, I don't know this for sure, and I have given this a little clean because I wanted to see as much detail on it as absolutely possible, but there's a strong possibility that I'm actually holding part of a Roman fibula. And what makes me say that is the shape of it. So it's got this kind of terminal at the top here, and then as you can see there's this part that all arches all the way down, and then there's this little pointy section at the bottom. So if this does turn out to be a Roman fibula, I just want to say on the video that this will be the very first Roman fibula I've ever found, and for me to find it in a field where there shouldn't be anything like this here, really. You know, the settlement here certainly does not date back to the Roman times, that is for sure. So it's just an absolute surprise. So I'm not 100% sure this is part of a Roman fibula. I'm sure a lot of you guys out there that live in heavily Romanized areas might be able to tell me differently. But what do you think of this? Do you think it is a Roman fibula? Do you think it's part of some sort of brooch? How old do you think this is? I have absolutely no idea. I don't confess to be any Roman expert whatsoever, and I don't find enough Roman, especially fibulas, to be able to, you know, really give a good idea as to what this is. But my first impressions is that this very well could be a lush little Roman fibula part. And I'm totally shocked. I'm totally shocked. And it could very well be the oldest thing I've found all day as well. So I am super chuffed with that, guys, but you know, I'm happy to be told otherwise. So please do let me know in the comments of the video what you think this might be. Do you think I found my first Roman fibula? Let me know. But again, I'm happy for you to tell me differently. But awesome little find, awesome. So take a look at this really cool little surface find down here. I only spotted this because it was kind of red or orange and just sticking out like a sore thumb. So I stopped and picked it up, and it's actually, I believe, some kind of little bead or something like that. But it's obviously made of a precious stone, just because it's obviously so red or orange. But if you look, it's got a little channel cut all the way through the middle of it. So it's very likely this would have come off of a bracelet or a necklace or something like that. And yeah, just found it lying on the top of this field. So I don't know if this is very old. I mean, I would suggest that this could be quite old because it's just not finished very well. Usually with modern jewellery, I would imagine they would cut it to some type of shape and polish it up a little bit, but this one is, yeah, it's quite rough, quite a rough little shape really, but still a nice little find, isn't it? Don't know how old it is, no idea, but not bad for a little surface find. Have a listen to that, guys. Another absolutely belting little target. And it's not too far on from where I had that possible Roman fibula as well. So maybe this is another one, or maybe it's not. But let's give this one a go. It's coming up at 85. It's not wavering at all. It's just a solid 85. Okay, so it's come out already, which is great. Let's get the pinpointer in and see if we can find it. Okay, so we've gone and found a coin. It's quite typical for old Georgian coins to come up at a nice solid 85. So yeah, we might have been hoping for a little bit too much there, but hey, it's still nice to find a coin, even though it's got no detail on it whatsoever. But let's keep going, because there might be some more goodies in here yet. Okay, so we've just had a really wonderful little find just poke out from the ground here. And as you can see, it's still in this little clump here. Now, I think it's a ring, but I don't know how old the ring is. It looks like quite a small ring, so it's probably either a lady's ring or it's probably a child's ring. But it's copper alloy, it could be old, it could be relatively modern. But we're going to have to peel it out of this mud to find out, so let's do that now. Okay, here we go, guys. Let's pick it out of the mud and see what we've got, see if it's old or see if it's new. Wow. Got quite a nice little bit of decoration on the top of it there, which I wasn't expecting at all. It's almost like got a sort of a little stud there, hasn't it? Can you see that? Yeah, I quite like this. This is quite a nice little ring, actually. Quite a nice little ring indeed. Is it modern? Is it old? I'm not 100% sure. I think what we're going to have to do is give this one a bit of a squirt of water. I don't really want to rub it too much, just in case there is anything on the top band there that might come off. So I think the sensible thing to do is we'll give this one a squirt of water, come back, and then we'll see if we've just found a really super old ring or whether or not it's relatively modern. Okay, so I have squirted this with water, given it a light clean, and check this amazing little ring out. It has got a green stone on the top, which I could not see when it was covered in mud at all. I thought it was just a sort of like a notch or something like that, but on closer inspections, that is a lovely little green stone on the top of this ring. And yeah, I mean, you can just see that it's got some quite intricate details. How old is this ring? That is a very, very good question. It's quite thin. It's made of copper alloy. I think it's too well made to be anything ancient, unfortunately. So, you know, something like Roman or something like that, it's very unlikely, but it's not completely unlikely, so it still could be. It's more likely that this maybe could be a bit of Victorian jewellery, something like that, maybe a woman's ring dating to the 1800s. It's, as I say, it's quite well made. I don't think it's kind of handmade to the point where everything's a little bit different. The circles are too, you know, perfect really for it to be anything ancient. But what a cool little ring. That is an absolutely wicked find. I'm so happy with that. If I can find out any information about it, maybe get a date for it or something like that, then I will of course put it on the video for you all to see. But what do you think about that? That is a pretty lucky little find, huh? Absolutely love it. So we are now at the end of another amazing day out metal detecting, and it's been absolutely wonderful today. Researching this old settlement has just been, you know, something that we've been wanting to do for quite some time now, to be honest with you. And hopefully, you know, we've been able to sort of date it to a degree, but it's been relatively difficult. I mean, I must say that this field is quite huge and there aren't finds absolutely everywhere. So going right over the settlement itself doesn't always mean that you're going to produce finds dating to that settlement, especially if the field's been ploughed, because of course over years the plough is just going to spread things all over the field. But I've tried to do as much of the field as humanly possible today, and we've had some great finds. You know, possibly my first fibula, which is amazing, although I am still open to debate on that one. And yeah, just you know, the ring as well, just some really, really nice bits, and it's just been a really enjoyable day out. So thank you very much for watching today's video, and of course if you do like the videos and you want to subscribe, you don't have to, but it's your choice. The button's just below. And if you want to help me out, help the channel grow, drop me a thumbs up as well. Until the next time, I will see you all again soon.